from Houston, Texas, and around the world. It's time to get your champagne wishes and caviar dreams. Welcome inside the Hall of Fame. Now, can you dig that?
Boom! Welcome inside the Hall of Fame. I'm Booker T, 6-time world champ. Look at that. 2-time Hall of Famer, baby. Got my man Brad Gilmore here with me. They call him the boat. He's a bad man. I want to thank everybody for stepping inside the Hall of Fame. Get your champagne wishes, man. Caviar dreams, baby. The thing is, I feel good. I think I'm still on that high from being on the plane, in the airport, in the, United, executive room, chilling out. I'm serious, man. I've been on a whirlwind tour this weekend, man, but I feel, for some reason, I got euphoria. I feel good. How you feel, man? I see you got your coif, looking good, man. You know what I mean? Looking real, spiffy, debonair, one should say. But how you feel, dog?
I'm feeling good. Shout out to the barber of the gods, who was actually at the show last night, getting all the boys fresh before the show. Shout out to him for coming through. He had a shucky ducky quack quack duck, by the way. So I want to give him a big shout out. But yeah, man, look, we had Glory last night. I'm still coming off the high of Glory. The debut edition. We had Wesley in the building. We had AJ Francis in the building. JC Jane, NXT representatives in the building, and it was an awesome show. Awesome.
Glory, guys. That's our SmackDown to WWE's like Raw. Reality of Wrestling Platinum, Reality of Wrestling Glory, something new that we're kicking off. That was the debut show, and man, I didn't get a chance to be there. I had a booking, a prior booking already, and I had to take it. But man, so many people. I saw AJ Francis. He put out a little something, and it went pretty much viral. All the sites picked it up, and not just that. I was looking at the comments. Man, so much freaking love for Reality of Wrestling and AJ Francis and what we're doing. Road Glory, guys, is something that you're going to be able to see on YouTube on a weekly basis as well. Join the road, guys. I think we just went over 847,000 YouTube subscribers. And man, we're feeling good. We're feeling real good. We're feeling good about ourselves, man. Rolling in on 850. That's money in the bank. Shorty, what you drink. You feel me? But but no, man, everybody from Wesley, JC Jane, the crew, man, stepped up. Title match. The streaming was like on point. I got a chance to, check it out in Richmond, Virginia, you know what I mean? And I swear, man, I felt like I was there, you know what I mean? So we're definitely going to be doing so much more of this, man. But I just want to thank everybody for going out there and doing a hell of a job. Everybody walked into Glory and walked out of Glory, safe and sound. And that's my, primary objective goal every single month. Nobody go to the damn hospital. Don't nobody jump off nothing. You know what I mean? But jump off something.
As long as you do it safely.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm saying? But no, man, I want to thank everybody, man, because it was an awesome show from what I saw. I got to go back and watch the entirety of it. But, man, I want to thank everybody. My crew, man, did such a hell of a job. The matches was so on point, man. Man, I'm just proud of what we're doing at Reality of Wrestling. I mean, this is I was at Wikipedia, Reality of Wrestling, and I just wanted to just, see what the updates were. And on there it said Reality of Wrestling founded 20 years ago. And I was going, wow, man. I swear to God, man. I got goosebumps when I saw that because I think that's the first time that I ever saw that, and yeah, just let me know all the hard work that we've been doing at Reality Wrestling. All the ID guys, came out and showed up and showed out. My boy Clayton, man, he went out there, man. Clay has stepped up and become the precision tactician. I think he's gonna actually, take that domain, take that title, the precision tactician. But nah, man, what a show, man! What a night! What a fight!
Yeah, no, it was awesome from top to bottom. Yeah, big shout out to all the WWE ID guys, and it's fun to watch them come down now. Like every other week, I'm seeing WWE ID guys come through, and every time I see them, it's just like a little bit, better, a little bit tighter, a little bit crisper.
Yeah.
And so you could tell that this program, not just at reality wrestling, but wherever it is.
Oh, it's a reality of wrestling. That's what it starts.
I'll try to be modest.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Please don't do that.
Well, you know what? If you want to learn to be a star, that's where the doors that you come through, the doors of the Walker Texas Lawyer Arena Reality Wrestling. So we have our next show, the first official taping of Reality Wrestling Platinum Pay Up is April the 12th at Walker Texas Lawyer Arena. Tickets available at realitywrestling.com. And so I'm excited because I know this next Glory show, I hear that there's more stuff in the works for the next Glory show. Maybe some titles, some new authority. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just saying there's some rumors.
You don't want to miss out. You don't want to get shut up. I mean, that's one of the old promos from back in the day. But yeah, it's serious though. It's serious. Next Glory taping, you definitely want to be a part of. I want to thank the fans, man. I want to thank the fans for showing up and showing out as well, man. Another sold out house at Reality of Wrestling, and we was wondering if we could do that. Glory is going to be going to Saturday nights as well, so you'll be able to, be able to come out and stay out and stay a little bit longer, baby. But yeah, I'm looking forward to 2025 with Reality Wrestling.
Yeah, same here. You know what? Also 2025 for the Hall of Fame, because I heard somebody told me, a little birdie told me that you not only are we going to have Platinum Pay Up on April the 12th, also live from ESPN Radio, we're going to be covering the Hall of Fame. We're going to be covering the next big UFC show the week before WrestleMania 2. We have some things in the works for WrestleMania as well. So Hall of Fame, nationwide, worldwide. Yeah. Worldwide leader in sports. We're the worldwide leader in sports entertainment on the radio is the Hall of Fame. Don't forget, we broke the Luka trade. I'm just saying, we broke the Luka trade on ESPN. We're the first to do it.
Hey man, that's big business. That's big business, man. No, seriously. No.
And also, I hear that you got a nice little package in the mail from a fan of the Hall of Fame, what we're doing. Trying to build something up, somebody coming on board, coming on the team, with the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, this little package right here I got, man. Check that out.
Woo!
See that? That's Turtle Beach right there. Stealth 700, that is. But I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm gonna open these boys right here. I already opened it and checked it out, but I'm gonna do it again. Just for everybody else, because I'm gonna tell you right now, PlayStation, I'm hooking the PS5 up in the RV, and I got all new everything, and these bad boys right here is definitely gonna set it off, because it ain't nothing like being a gamer, but when you totally in the zone, totally connected, and the whole world is closed off, you gonna need something like this right here, baby, because when you talking about stealth, I don't know if you guys know about the SR-71 Blackbird. Have you guys ever heard of that?
Tell them what it is.
The SR-71 Blackbird is the first stealth bomber in the history of mankind. And these bad boys right here, they are close second. I'm gonna tell you, when you talking about pure sound, booyah. You got everything right here, baby. I'm talking about you can get locked in. I'm talking about in a heartbeat. And once you get locked in, booyah, you might never get locked out. Hey, Turtle Beach, stealth 700. That's 700. Check them out. You will not go wrong. Trust me on that. I've been locked in lately too, dog. I got the computer set up. I got the PlayStation set up. I even, I even got the Xbox set up. So right now, I don't know what's going on with me right now, but I'm totally locked into my games. Ghost of Tsushima. you can't go wrong. But the one I've been playing lately is Undisputed.
Mm.
My boy Charles, he sent it to me. It was a download. And it's got all the latest fighters, the old schoolers. Only person on there, only person they don't have on there is Mike Tyson. The only person they don't have on the game is Mike Tyson. They got that. Wait a minute. I don't think they got Evander Holyfield either. Maybe, I haven't seen Evander Holyfield, but I'm gonna tell you right now, it's thebomb.com, because you got to really get locked in as far as technique, movement, and timing, because you'll get knocked out in a heartbeat, and you're gonna need something like this right here to get you locked in. I ain't lying, dog.
Hey man, if they go to turtlebeach.com/booker, they get a little discount. You know what I mean? They can level up their game. You know what I mean? They get 10% off. They get 10% off. You know what I mean? That's for our podcast listeners.
That's for you guys right there. Check them out, guys. You're in the Hall of Fame. We got to take a quick break. We'll be back in a minute.
Fellas, let's talk about confidence. The kind of confidence that counts when it's time to step up and deliver. And that's where Blue Chew comes in. Blue Chew is the original brand offering chewable tablets designed to help men achieve stronger, harder, and longer lasting erections. We're talking about getting in the game and staying in it.
And you know what they say, man, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. And with Blue Chew, you can take these chewables anytime, day or night. So you're always good to go when the opportunity strikes. And the best part, the entire process is done online. No doctor's visits, no awkward conversations, no waiting in line at a pharmacy.
Ooh, yeah. And Blue Chew is putting their money where their mouth is, offering you a whole month for free. It's simple. You sign up at bluechew.com and consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once approved, you'll receive your prescription delivered discreetly right to your door, made in the USA and ready to go when you are.
Now, Brad, let's get real. Does it work, man? They'll mistake you for a soldier at full salute. You'll be pitching a tent like a true Eagle Scout, man. Blue Chew won't stop until every man is bricked up like a brick house. That's the mission, dog.
And listen, confidence is key, especially when you're all bricked up. There's nothing sexier than a man who's ready to go. And at BlueChew.com, they can help bring that energy when it matters most. Don't miss out on what could be the best night of your life. Make life easier by getting harder. Discover your options at BlueChew.com, and we've got a deal just for our listeners. Try your first month absolutely free. Visit BlueChew.com, use the promo code Booker, and there's more details and important safety information. And as always, we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring the Hall of Fame podcast.
Oh, yeah, man. Booyah, baby. Welcome back inside the Hall of Fame with my man, Brad Gilmore, and your boy Booker T. Two-time, baby. Two-time Hall of Famer. And look at that bad boy right there. Look at it. Huh? You see that? That's that ring right there. That's the insignia. That's the insignia. Paul Bosch right there. Bless me with that right there to keep the dream alive, baby. Forevermore here in Houston.
You mentioned you have 3 rings. 2 of them are Hall of Fame rings. We mentioned on this show they inducted the NWO into the Hall of Fame, and we thought that maybe you should have gotten a 3rd ring off the NWO induction just because you were a part of the WWE run of that faction. However,
me and Bagwell.
You had Bagwell. 7-time Hall of Famer. But what I want, Marcus Bagwell, Buff the Stuff, the NWO. We could go on and on. The American Males. What I was going to say, though, is we got news today that we're going to get our first ever 3-time WWE Hall of Famer.
Who is
because they made an announcement, a first of its kind. The UFC has done this in the past before, but WWE has now opened this Hall of Fame up to not just wrestlers and celebrities and legacy inductees. We're now getting another wing of the WWE Hall of Fame, the 4th wing, as the immortal moments immortal matches.
Come on, man. That really, is not like a Hall of Fame ring. That's a match.
It's a match.
You shouldn't get a ring for that. You know what I mean? It's a match.
Maybe you get a plaque. Maybe you get a plaque.
Yeah, you get a plaque or something. You don't get a ring for it. Come on. Let's be real here. Come on. Let's be real.
I don't know if you get a ring or not. We'll have to find that out. But the first match.
You get a plaque.
The first match to ever be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame is one that's well-deserving. WrestleMania 13, the submission match between Stone Cold Steve Austin and Bret the Hitman Hart. One of the great matches of all time in WrestleMania history. And that is going to be the first match inducted into the Immortal Moments. So Bret Hart, has a match, a tag team, and a singles career all inducted in the Hall of Fame.
Really, I mean, if it can happen, if they do make it happen, but both of those guys on stage together, actually reliving a couple minutes of that match, you know what I mean? They ain't got to go in depth or anything like that too much. But just to have those guys on stage for that moment, I think, those are moments, man, that you capture, and they live, like forever, those moments like that. So, to see those two guys on stage one more time, reliving that, heck yeah, I can see that, most definitely.
The Immortal Moments. So that's going to be going into the Hall of Fame along with Michelle McCool. We know the Natural Disasters, Triple H, Lex Luger, all going into the WWE Hall of Fame. We're just a few weeks away from that event going on in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Yeah. You know what, though, man? The people don't want to hear about that. In this show right here, the Hall of Fame, it's all about people. That's what it's all about. So we're going to get the elephant out of the room right now. I know people want to hear about me clearing the air as far as Swerve Strickland, okay? And me personally, what's your thoughts?
I feel like for our audience, our radio audience and YouTube and podcast audience who might not have heard what is exactly going on, Swerve Strickland was interviewed on Vlad TV, and there was a clip that started floating around the internet. And Book, I mean, I think fair is fair. Putting it in context would be great. Can I play the clip?
Yeah.
Is that fine?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is Booker. This is the clip from Swerve Strickland's interview with Vlad TV. So it says Swerve responds
for the company for a long time, and I know I've been treated fair for the last 20 years.
That's not what happened when Vince said the N-word in front of you. That's not being treated fair, in my opinion. And to that statement, it's not even what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. What people are saying. I'm saying what your audience is saying. So it's not just me just talking out of my ass out of nowhere. It's what your audience has been complaining about for the better part of like 2-3 years from not seeing black talent even getting single matches on PLEs and stuff like that. It's not.
There you go.
Yeah,
that's the clip. So he was referring to a time on the show where there was some questions about Swerve Strickland, and did AEW overpay for him? WWE thought they paid him over market value, and Swerve, I think, was on the Breakfast Club and was discussing his WWE run and lack thereof, and I believe you said something regarding I'm trying to figure out what he's talking about. I'm black, so I'm just trying to understand if something happened to him personally. Maybe he should have thought he should have been a bigger star in the WWE. I hate we're still talking about this race thing. I've been working for the company for a long time, and I know I've been treated fairly for 20 years.
Verbatim,
so that was
verbatim. That's exactly what I said. And I don't think you're going to find anything in that statement right there negative towards Strickland.
Well, you know what? Let's give some more context.
Okay, go ahead.
Let me play some more context, because Swerve Strickland actually did make history in AEW as becoming the first black AEW champion. We discussed that on the show, and here was your reaction to that.
I'm a big fan of Swerve Strickland, man. I saw him in the airport, a couple of months ago, and him and I, we networked a little bit. Then, but to see Swerve Strickland become the first black champion over in AEW is really, really, really awesome. I was listening to him talk just this morning how, Kofi Kingston just won it not too long ago, and now he's winning it. That just lets you know the generational gap. Like when I won it, and then it was so, like when Ron Simmons won it, and then it was so many years before another one won it, and then it was so many years before another one won it. This shows progress, in professional wrestling. So for me, I'm all down with Swerve Strickland being the world champion, not just because for anything from a showpiece perspective or anything like that. This dude is really that damn good inside the square circle. He deserves to be the world champion. I'm a big fan.
That was what you said regarding Swerve's world title win.
That's high praise right there. I mean, and you know what? I don't like. Like I said, I was at an event this weekend. I was at an event this weekend in Richmond, Virginia, and lo and behold, who was at the same event with me, actually as a part of the same party. And it was literally the first person I run into the morning of the event. And just like Swerve Strickland said, you know, me having the energy when Vince McMahon said the N-word, I rest assured I had the energy when I saw him, because I approached Swerve Strickland and I had a conversation with Swerve Strickland. Let's talk about the conversation in depth as far as what I told Swerve Strickland. I had an offer to be on Vlad TV before as well. And I turned it down. And they called me back and they offered me money to go on Vlad TV. And I turned it down because I was not going to go on Vlad TV and be exploited. I wasn't going to go on, you know, on Vlad TV and him make me look like a fool in front of the world. I was not going to do that. And I wasn't going to go on Vlad TV and say anything negative towards any black man that's ever been in this business, because I know how hard it is for all of them. And I've been the first one to say any brother getting his bag, you know, I'm all in 100%. But I told Swerve Strickland to his face how disappointed I am in him as a young brother, because all I did for Swerve Strickland ever was put him over and put him on a pedestal as being one of the best out there that ever did it. He deserved being the AEW champion. And for him to say something like that about me, you know, I don't know if these guys think racism stopped in 1990 when I got in the business, but it didn't. Okay, you may not hear about a lot of racial issues with Booker T, because I handled racial issues head first. I opened doors. I broke down barriers for people like Swerve Strickland. Swerve Strickland perhaps would not even be here if it wasn't for me. I have to apologize for nothing that I've done in this business, because I've gone out there and literally represented in the ring, out of the ring, from day one all the way to this day in 2025. Okay, you speak on Vince McMahon and him saying the N-word. You want me to be angry black man in the company. You want me to not open doors and make, you know, spaces for people like you. That's what you want me to do. Swerve Strickland, I hope you're never going to be in the movies. I hope you're never going to be on a movie set, because you might hear somebody say the N-word. And if you got a problem with it, they're going to tell your ass to get the hell out of here, because this is a movie, all right? And I'm upset. I'm upset because, more importantly, I'm disappointed at Swerve Strickland, because what I told him, and I'll repeat it, just like I repeated it to him. You got played. You got played, bro. You got played. You let that man play you and pit you against me and me against you. I don't know how many stories you ever heard about that on Vlad TV, but it's many of them. It's many stories out there about the black man against the black man, because Vlad is pitting them against each other. I don't know how many people you heard that's got locked up from the federal perspective about going on Vlad TV. I don't know what the hell you doing on Vlad TV, first of all. What have you done to be on Vlad TV, okay? That's just my opinion on that. And as far as Swerve Strickland, just like I say, and me having the energy, the veracity, I got all that, because I'm still 6'3" tall, 230 pounds of romping, stomping, grave, damn, digging, destruction, Jack. And we got to take a break. We'll be back in a minute. Hey, this is Booker T, 6-time world champ, 2-time Hall of Fame. I got something for you guys, man. Look, when I was a kid, man, cereal was my jam. But now, since I'm a grown man, I'm looking for something that gives me more than just a sugar rush and carbs, man. That's when I found Magic Spoon. Look, it's a cereal that gives you the taste of your childhood favorites, but without sugar and packed with tons of protein.
And if you're already a fan of Magic Spoon, then you need to listen up to this, because I've got some big news. Magic Spoon has taken that amazing cereal that we all love and turned it into high-protein treats. These new treats are light, they're crispy, and they become my go-to snack, especially before or even after the gym.
Yeah, man, every serving of Magic Spoon cereal has 13 grams of protein, 0 grams of sugar, and only 4 grams of net carb. That fruity and cocoa flavor are the classic ones, but there's a whole lot more to try, man.
And those new treats, they've got 12 grams of protein and come in flavors like marshmallow and chocolatey peanut butter. Perfect when you're on the go or you need a quick snack to fuel up before that workout.
Yeah, man, I keep a box in my gym bag, but it's a great late night snack as well. Those treats have that crispy texture, great taste, and the macros that make you feel good about eating them.
So Magic Spoon's bringing back those nostalgic flavors, but without all the stuff that we don't want. So if you want to try it for yourself and get $5 off your next order, go to magicspoon.com/HOF. That's magicspoon.com/HOF. Or you can even find it on Amazon or in your nearest grocery store.
That's magicspoon.com/HOF for $5 off. Magic Spoon, hold on to the dream. Boom, welcome back inside the Hall of Fame, man. But yeah, I just wanted to get that out there. More than anything, and the thing is, what I say here on the radio, I want to say it in somebody's face. That's just the way I am. I ain't gonna say something behind somebody's back, anything like that. I'm willing to say it in the face. More important than anything.
You said a lot there. You definitely said a lot, and I understand you coming at this situation passionately because in some ways your character was called into question, in a certain respect. And especially from a guy.
Well, the thing is, I want to get something out there to a lot of people more than anything, as far as this N-word thing. When I stop hearing it on the radio every day, then we could have this conversation. When I stop, hearing, as far as the N-word as a term of endearment in a lot of places, a lot of circles, then we could talk about this. You know what I mean? But as far as the N-word go, it's not a word that no one has ever heard me say but one time in my life, especially in this business or around any of my peers or anything like that, my coworkers or anything like that. That's not something that I do. But as far as this business goes, I've always looked at this business like it was a movie. All right. I've always looked at this business like it was entertainment. And when something is embellished, even that word on the show, and for him, like I say, to question me and who I am as a black man and having to go through this life and deal with racism, bro, you better get the hell out of my face. I've never kissed ass. No one could ever put that statement on me. You know what I mean? And for him, you don't know me. You don't know me that well to speak on me like that. And I just want to get that across to him and anybody else that think that way. You know what I mean? Because there again, him and I shouldn't be going back and forth at each other. And he shouldn't let someone put him and I back because he got a problem with the company. That's a statement right there. You just stepping into, that's a landmine. You just falling on for no reason. You're making noise for no reason. Because like I said, I know I've opened doors for people like Swerve Strickland. Just like that statement I said about him. I didn't have to say that. Why did I say it? I said it because I thought the guy was a damn good wrestler. But I don't have the book. But one thing I do know, cream rise to the top. If you're good as you think you are, throw everything in. I know that's what I did. All right. I could have sit on a contract when I came from WCW and made big money. But I say, no, I'm going to gamble on myself and go in, head first and see exactly how good I am. And the thing is, we talk about, I hear people like Swerve Strickland talk about, it's not a lot of black representation on the PLEs these days. Well, damn it, I didn't have to worry about that in my day. I was on all of them. I was on all the pay-per-views. All right. I was main eventing some of them as well. So I don't know what the hell he's talking about as far as that goes. Maybe it's a drop-off, as far as talent. Maybe guys need to work up to my level. Okay, and really, really think about putting themselves in a position and say, "Hey, man, let's forget about this black thing, and let's throw it all in and see how good we are. Let's do it the way I did it. All right, we ain't got to start nothing on social media or anything like that. Let's just see how good we are. Because I could have sank, all the way to the bottom in the WWE, just like so many others did. So many of them.
Well, I
And,
mean,
and more importantly, most of those guys are white guys. I'm just saying, it was about how talented, I was, and a lot, as far as he is, it's about how talented he is. It's about how talented every other black person that get what they get in this business. Don't just throw a tag on them because they're black. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And for him to speak on something like that and make it about that because he had a bad experience, bro. That's like painting everybody the same way. I don't see it that way. I don't put myself in the category with everybody else. I just don't.
well, a few logical follow-ups here, and I hate to cut you off, but I want to know a few things. What was Swerve's reaction when you had this conversation with him over the weekend in person?
Well, I can tell you this: he never said he didn't get played
By Vlad.
Yeah, he never said that, and that right there spoke volume to me. And the thing is, not really about what he said. I just wanted to let him know that, how disappointed I was in him. I just wanted to let him know how disappointed I was in him for going out there. And I don't know, like I said, we work hard to get where we are. I know I've worked hard to get where I am, as a black man. I know every other black talent that's on the roster, they work their behinds off to, contribute and try to get to that point. And a lot of them some of them get to that point, some of them don't. But I'm not gonna, throw the label on it just because I was black, I didn't make it. All right. I've never put myself in that group, where I felt like I was talented enough to make it and somebody was going to see it and I was going to get hopefully I would get the opportunity. Hopefully I would get the opportunity. All right. I've never, pitched for an angle or anything like that. I've never went to the writers or anything like that and say, hey man, what about this idea? I always took what I got and tried to make it the best I possibly could. I would go out there and perform it. I don't care if it's Booker T and Stone Cold in the grocery store. I don't care what it is. I'm going to go out there and try to perform, and I'm going to do it at the best of my level that I possibly can. Because it's entertainment. This is show business. I mean, if I was a real wrestler, I'd be, doing some of that stuff that, Gable Stevenson, Ryan Hendrickson was doing, that's real wrestling. Okay. I'm a performer, I'm an entertainer, and I'm a showman, and I'm gonna go out here and I'm gonna try to give you the best of whatever I'm gonna get, whatever I have. And the thing is for Swerve, he's never been in that position because he's been a wrestler, his whole life. You know what I mean? He's been a guy that's gone out there and wrestled. And I get that too. Maybe that's it. You know what I mean? Maybe he's thinking about how good of a wrestler he is. As far as, what, because, he did make a statement as far as, he went out and performed in front of 6,000 people, him and Drew Gulak and the people was, chanting his name and whatnot. Okay, that's perfectly fine. You know what I mean? It's not all about how good of a wrestler you are in this business. It really isn't. So understand that and try to evolve. And just like for instance, let me use an example. Finn Balor was a wrestler. He was all he was a wrestler before he came to WWE. And then all of a sudden, it took him a while to figure it out. Finally figured it out. I remember him going out and having a match and he didn't do anything in the match. And I go, brother, you just did your best work. You know what I'm saying? So Swerve is looking for something different than I'm looking for. All right. As far as what it takes to make it to the top of the roster and stay at the top of the roster and literally, if you're not the guy, you're working with the guy, that type of stuff, so I don't know. It is a business. It truly is.
It's a business. It is a business. So I do want to ask just a couple, logical follow-ups, like, because I obviously he could have answered that question differently. He didn't have to play into the trap because that was a trap that was set to create headlines. And guess what? It worked. It worked for Vlad. That's what Vlad does. You know what I mean? That's what he does. And to put yourself in that situation is one thing. Do you feel like his comment was him saying like, you didn't stand up for what was right at certain moments as a black individual, like in the company? I'm just trying to understand what he meant by, well, he didn't say anything when
If
Vince said that.
well, I tell you what, if you could base, my veracity on a skit, we got a problem. You know what I mean? My reputation is solid. All right, my reputation is 100 as far as whatever, as far as dealing with racism. I know I know how I've dealt with racism in the WWE. Okay, so but I don't have to go out and publicize it. I don't have to go out and talk about it on social media. That's not the way I work. I don't put my business out on social media. It's not for the world to know. If I'm talking to a young brother like him, and he's on the come up, don't think I'm not going to pull him aside and say, hey man, just like Ox Baker told me. And Ox Baker was a white dude. You know what I mean? Go back and pull up Ox Baker. He told me, he said, young man, you got a lot of talent. He said, but you're gonna come up against a lot of obstacles. He said, but you so talented, man. I think you can figure out how to go over, round, under. You might have to go through them. And that was some advice I never forgot. So I'm going to be the one peeping, the young guy pulling him in and telling him, hey man, hey, you got so much talent. You know what I mean? But you're going to go up against this. You're going to go up against this. But this is how you get through it. You know what I mean? That's the way you deal with stuff like that. But I'm not going to, tell somebody, hey, you don't need to go with that angle because, you ain't stepping up for the brothers, and just forget about, forget about your family. You know what I mean? Forget about this is a storyline. Forget about all that. Just stand up. You got to know when to stand up, bro. You got to know when. You got to know when to pick your fights. Stick around. You're in the Hall of Fame. We'll be back in a minute. Hey, y'all, Booker T here alongside with my main man, Brad Gilmore. And today we're talking about something that could really change the game when it comes to how you get paid.
That's right, Booker, because let's face it, life doesn't just happen every 2 weeks. So why wait for a payday? With Earn In, the money you've earned already can be in your hands today.
Earn In is this incredible app that lets you access your pay as you earn it. We're talking about up to $100 per day and up to $750 each pay period.
All you got to do is download the Earn In app, verify your paycheck, and boom, you can access up to $100 a day as you work. And the cool part, you just leave an optional tip, and any money you access plus the tip gets repaid when your next paycheck rolls in.
Brad, I'm always talking about staying ready so you don't have to get ready, right? Imagine having that extra cash for that surprise date night, or maybe when you have to take the furry little friend to the vet unexpectedly.
Absolutely, Booker. Or even those times when you need to grab a last minute gift, or maybe you're a little short on rent, or hey, even you might want to pick up some new gear for yourself or your kids or your lady.
Folks, make Earn In part of your financial playbook. Join over 3.5 million customers who are finding financial stability and peace of mind thanks to Earn In.
So don't wait around for a payday. Get your money when you need it and take control of your finances. Download Earn In today and experience what it's like to access pay on your terms.
Get started with Earn In now and join the millions who are getting their pay their way. It's time to earn in, not just earn. Check it out, man. Boom. Welcome back inside the Hall of Fame. Got a lot of action today, man, here on the show. I mean, it's good action though, man. Stuff like this needs to be talked about because we don't talk about this kind of stuff on the Hall of Fame too often, right?
Right. No, we don't.
Just because, not saying that, I'm the first to say racism is going to be here, to the end of time. It's just something that's going to happen. I mean, we can't get by that, but not saying that, it's something that, we should be talking about on a regular basis because it doesn't matter. No, that's not what I'm saying either. I'm just saying it never comes up. And you a white guy and I'm a black guy. You know what I mean? We just trying to get through this freaking life and have some fun. And if a racial issue do come up, we handle it. You know what I mean? But me personally, I said 1,000 times out of 1,000 times, I don't think the skit with Vince McMahon and John Cena was a racial issue with me. I just don't. Take it for what it's worth.
And for people who may be unfamiliar with the skit, I'm sure that you are, but if you're, not familiar, it was something I was at one of the shows. I think I guess it was the idea. I don't know if you remember, but was the idea, hey, Vince is going to be this out of touch, old white guy trying to talk to John Cena, who was the champion at the time, who was doing the rap gimmick. And he thought this is the way to relate to a rapper. And then when he walks away, you go, tell me you didn't just say that.
As well as that's the word that is used in all the rap songs.
Right.
I mean, it's simple. I mean, he's trying to be cool, just like all the white rappers, all the black, the Mexican, all of them saying the same thing. So when did it become a problem? Because Vince McMahon said it. Wow. Okay, in a skit. So that's here. I know we got a lot of super chatters, man.
We do. I just have a couple things that I just want to add in.
Let's get them on the back end.
Yeah, if you don't mind, I just want to add in a couple of things. One, I know you don't like to publicize things because that's not what you're in it for. There's a story out there that people can look up if they want to about how you handle certain issues. Just look up, Booker T and MLK, right? The MLK story. It's been told on other podcasts. I know you've never told it on this show, but it's been told on other shows. It's out there if people want to know exactly sometimes how you stand up to certain people. But the other thing is this, is not only have you quite literally, blazed a path for a lot of people, right? All people, myself included, right? In a lot of ways. But if you actually just want to talk like directly, like your direct impact on just people recently, as far as getting contracts within, major promotions, we've talked about them before. These are names that everybody knows, but Jimmy Uso, Jey Uso, AQA, Roxanne Perez, Brendan Williams, Brian Keith, Jacob Fatu, Athena, Gino Medina, all signed to contracts, all people of color, by the way. People you've mentored, MVP, Shelton, Bobby Lashley, Boogeyman, Zilla Fatu, AJ Francis, Trick Williams. These are people that you've mentored who have said things out loud in public interviews. So I'm not saying anything that hasn't been shared before about your influence directly on them. And that's just to name a few that I could think of during the commercial break. I typed that list during the commercial break. The impact's there.
I would never, try to, put down, somebody, for doing what they love, and like I say, even him having the feelings about, the way the company felt about him. Like I say, maybe he went through something. I don't know.
Well, you didn't speak on his journey.
I didn't speak on it at all, and that's why for him to have that, like you say, the energy to say something like that about me, it just took me aback, and more importantly, it took me aback because he let somebody put him in position to say something like that more than anything, and him and I should not be having any beef towards each other at all in any way, shape, or form. And I don't know, people gonna, still try to make something of it, but I just know I had to speak my piece on it as far as what I've done in this business for people like him, and I don't even talk about that kind of stuff at all, really.
No, you don't.
You know what I mean? Because that's just, I have no time to talk about it because I'm still working right now that try to help some young kid try to live his dream, like I have I have not a lot of energy for it, but I do have a lot of veracity, when it comes to, standing up still today as far as who I am and what I stand for as a man, as a black man. And I don't need anybody questioning that, especially if you haven't walked in my shoes. Walk a mile in my shoes. All right? Walk a mile in my shoes, Swerve Strickland. He talk about, growing up in Germany and having a mom and a dad. Walk a mile in my shoes. That's all I got to say about that. Walk a mile in my shoes. Okay? Mom and dad. Walk a mile in my shoes.
Well, I mean, is it safe to say y'all didn't have any other interactions during the weekend?
No interactions at all. And we, you know what? We probably never will ever again, because I really, like I said, I'm really disappointed more than anything in him for starting something like this and having people write it And then when people write it, they write it the way they want it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they put the, stuff, in there that they, want people to hear to make people, get in on the story, like Swerve Strickland fires back at, fires first shot at Booker T, knowing that I'm going to respond to it. So now they got to write this, but I'm not going to respond to it again. I just want, people to know that that's just like I told him, that's some bull, bro. Some bull. Because we shouldn't be having to talk about each other. You know what I mean? It's some bull. Seriously. We're in two totally different, area codes. Seriously. And if that's something that really bugged him, why did he join WWE when he did? You know what I mean? He didn't have to join WWE, when he first started. He knew about that story then, come on. I just thought it was wrong. It was wrong in every sense of the word. Seriously. As much as I've done for people like him.
Yeah, I mean, and again, I mean, all I can say is what I've heard you say, and I've always heard you put, as you put in your words, Swerve on a pedestal.
I won't do it. I won't do it ever again.
Well, I can understand why.
Whether you care or not, I'd never do it again. And like I said, nobody paid me to put him over. I just always thought he was a good worker.
Well, I think the big lesson from this too is you've worked in the media for a long time, both as a media member and being a subject of a lot of media stories and interviews. And I think that you're always very cognizant of how you answer questions and how you position certain answers, especially when they're discussed with certain people. And this is like a behind the scenes thing, but I guess it's okay to say. But sometimes if I set up an interview for us or we go and do something, I say, hey, Book, you want me to tell him anything you don't want to talk about? You're like, no, man, let him ask whatever. Like, I know how to answer questions. Right.
Yeah,
That's what you always say. And to me, this is one of those statements to where in the same thing you said about Swerve, hey, I don't know what his story was. Like, I mean, I don't know what happened to him in WWE. Perhaps he would have thought he should have been a bigger star. I don't know. I can just tell you from my perspective how I've been treated. He should have had the same energy. Been like, look, that's how Booker was treated.
You know what that's called? That's called pivoting.
Yeah.
You got to know how to pivot. When some journalist is asking you a question, you really don't want to answer the question the way he posed it, so because people are always looking for clicks, And like I said, I hope he got paid for it, because like I say, they offered to pay me money when I was going to come on, but like I say, I turned it down. I turned it down because it wasn't worth me going on there and telling anybody else's story. That's one thing that I'm never going to do. Is go and tell somebody else's story. What somebody else, went through this, that, whatnot. I'm not going to do that. I'm not. And the thing is, if I would have went on Vlad, him and I, we would have got into it. Because I would have been like, man, why the hell you asking me about somebody else? I thought we came on here to talk about me. I don't know what happened with that. That's what would have happened.
Yeah.
That's what would have happened. Seriously. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it didn't happen. Thankfully, you and Vlad didn't have that, because again, this is what Vlad does, and to me, it's like if you see somebody doing the thing that that they do, you can't be mad at them, right? Like, I'm not mad at Vlad.
No,
that's what he does.
I can't be.
That's what he does.
You look here. I would have been a fool to go on the show myself, because I know he would have tried to take me somewhere that. Not that I didn't want to go, but it wasn't my point to go there. It wasn't my business to go there. I mean, it's just that, okay, just say, for instance, the thing with the skit, it happened. That's something that I have to go through. If it's something that really hurt me, that's something that I have to deal with internally for the rest of my life. I would lose sleep. I don't lose no damn sleep over that. As much as I hear that word every day, I'm serious. I do not lose any sleep over the N word being said by anybody. Because, hell, I hear it every day on the radio. Do that make any sense? Do that make any sense? Oh, I don't see the white guy saying, look at us honkies.
Well, that would just be ridiculous.
I don't see the Mexicans saying, look
Whatever
at
their phrase.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? I don't see that, with the French guys. I only see it with the black guys. That's it. Chinese, Japanese.
Look,
they call it themselves the N-word.
Look, yes. And then that's a testament to also the influence of hip hop and black culture on the world. I will say, but I will say this too. Like, can I understand why somebody goes, "Hey, yo," to use your parlance, honky. You can't say that word. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I get it. Like I get people. Look, I'll be honest with you. I get people being tight because look, this has been a conversation about.
Let's debate about it then. How many?
Well, okay, look, we gotta take a break. Okay. We'll debate it when we come back.
We'll be back in a minute.
Hey everybody, Brad Gilmore here with the one and only Booker T, and today we're not just talking about wrestling, we're talking about something that's changed the game for both of us personally, and that's Mando whole body deodorant.
Yeah, that's right, Brad. The most valuable thing in the world could be that #1 draft pick or home field advantage throughout the playoffs, but you know what's second? Time.
Absolutely, Book, and let me tell you, managing body odor, that used to eat up a lot of time. Always worrying about it, especially around midday, but not anymore since we started using Mando.
Yeah, but tell them why, Brad.
Well, Mando isn't like those other deodorants that just mask the odor with heavy fragrances. Mando stops odor at the source. It blocks bacteria on your skin from breaking down sweat, which, by the way, is what really causes that BO.
And it's clinically proven to control that odor for up to 72 hours. Now that's long-lasting, man.
It really frees up so much time since switching to Mando. I've even perfected my half-court shot, believe it or not.
Man, that's awesome. And let me add, I've been using Mando everywhere. Pits, grundles, and even those stinky crevices. We all got his aluminum-free, cruelty-free, dye-free, and vegan. Designed by a doctor who knew what was up about body odor, man.
And for our listeners, we got something special. New customers can get $5 off the Mando starter pack. That's over 40% off. Just use our code BOOKER at shopmando.com. That's shopmando.com.
Use shopmando.com. Check out their starter pack. Brad and I would not steer you wrong.
With Mando, you're really taking care of your body odor anywhere and everywhere. Give it a try and let us know what you think.
All right, now back to wrestling. But remember, control your body odor anywhere, anytime with Mando, and save big with the promo code Booker at shopmando.com.
Welcome back inside the Hall of Fame. yeah, we just talking, just chopping it up, talking real talk, because it's something that I don't talk about too often, but it's something that, again, I think it's something that needs to be talked about more often, just because I got kids. I got kids. My kids don't hear me say the N-word in the house. They don't hear it. My son, my daughter. It's just one of those things to where I feel like, if we don't, say something about it, it's just okay. It's just okay. And the thing is, I know it's, I remember listening to, I was at TSU one time, and Russell Simmons was there, and he was talking about how that is a depiction of art. That's what he called it.
The use of the word?
Yes.
Okay.
That's their depiction of art.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, what the hell does that mean? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, well, what does that really mean? You know what I mean? Because like I say, I don't hear any other colors, any races or nationalities say something derogatory about themselves, as a term of endearment or whatever. You know what I mean? And maybe that's just where we are in society. My point, maybe we are at that point in society. So why am I going to get so upset when I hear that word? That's my point.
Yeah, no, and I understand where you're coming from totally. And I'm not debating. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. I'm not.
Do that make any sense? Do that make
No,
any
no, no,
sense?
yeah. It makes perfect sense. I definitely get where you're coming from. And look, I am, and this is just me being honest. I'm like in no position to have a real opinion on the use of the N word in any context.
No, 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 but you are, because you know why? You know why I say that? Because you're conscious of it. You're conscious
Sure.
of it just because you don't want to offend anybody.
Right.
But some people are so desensitized, it doesn't mean anything. It's just like when we were in Club Debonair and you were singing the song and bing, 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 and then that word had to come into the song and you just laid out. You're like,
Every
I
time,
ain't
brother.
said that. I ain't said that. I ain't said, but all the rest of it, you all up in it. You know what I'm saying? You're conscious of it. But like I say, it's so in school, in music, is something that's said on a regular basis. And me personally, I'm smart enough to say, I get it. I'm not going to get upset with anybody I'm not going to get in a fight with anybody that say that word. Hopefully they don't come and, and just say it to me directly. You know what I mean?
Might be a different story.
It might be a different story, but I'm not going to, go looking for trouble for that word. I'm just not.
Well, look, and also and this is not
And
shooting any bail.
I need you guys to let me know if I'm wrong on that. Let me know if I'm wrong on that, because I feel like, like I say, in this life that we live in today, it's not that bad of a thing, because I hear it every day.
Yeah, I mean, look, words are only what you give them power to, right? So if you give somebody the power, or if you give that word power, if somebody says it, then you're giving them power. Now, my thing is, if you look at the skit in question with Vince, right? If we look at that, it's probably from 20 years ago, ish. Let's just say 20 to give it a round number. Anything you look at in those visions, looking back, like there's no chance that would even be thought of doing 10 years ago, 15 years ago. And I'm not saying that then it should have even been talked about. Now, this is what's happened in that Vince skit is the same thing that's been debated about Quentin Tarantino movies, right? I'm sure you've heard this before. Like Quentin Tarantino movies, they use the N word like crazy, right?
Yeah.
And Quentin says it in there. Well, Leo drops it in there, especially when you think about Django. Like Leo said it with a little bit of something behind it, right? Like he looked like he enjoyed saying it a little too much, as that character. But I bring that up to say, in the context of entertainment or a skit, should you take great umbrage to that? That's up for the audience members individually. And I also think what this is a great representation of is that any culture, and the one that we're discussing happens to be Black culture, African American culture. No culture is a monolith. Nobody thinks exactly the same about every issue. And I think that's part of this conversation. Just because you're of a certain race doesn't mean you have to fully agree with that.
Bro, I'm not, whitewashed to the situation, man. I grew up, with Richard Pryor, come on, bro. I mean, Richard Pryor was the guy, you know what I mean? I loved Richard Pryor. That was like his second word he would say after every other word, you know what I mean? But it was normal. I'm not saying that, there again, is right or wrong. It's something that it's in our society, and it's something that, we as Black people, we're going to have to live with it. All right. And the thing is, I hear the music, and a lot of the music is good. I was listening to one song, DMD, DJ DMD. It's just one little portion. It's called the Epitaph. And it's just a little verse right before the song. And I remember I interviewed him. You remember? You remember?
Yeah, DMD. Yeah.
And I asked him, why did you put the N word right there in that verse? Because it was perfect even without it. And he goes, I just needed something to say.
There's two syllables, it flows.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? So I get it, man. You know what I mean? So don't be down on me when you hear somebody. Don't lose no sleep over something like that. You know what I mean? That's the last thing you should be worried about. Because there again, I've been with that company for over 20 years. I think I've done very well.
And And let's also be honest though. Like, if you want to go back and look at through the annals of time, in WWE and in different eras and different decades, when the culture was different, not just within the company, I'm saying when the American culture was different, there's a lot of questionable things, not just race relations, all kinds of things that every company, but WWE including, has done. Do they do those things now? No. And do they,
Look here,
even think about it?
I took bullets, man,
Yeah.
for young guys just trying to get in this business. My history is out there. All you got to do is go look it up, and it'll tell you pretty much everything as far as the racism, the spots, the angles that my brother and I had to,
Yeah.
dear coming up and trying to get in this business. Nah, man. No. The first time they asked me, promoter asked me was first thing one promoter asked me was, could I dance? That's the first thing a promoter asked me was, could I dance? And I said, no, I can't dance, but I can perform. He gave me a shot, and the rest, pretty much history. But I've tried to break barriers, like I say, for guys like him, man. So, like I said, I just hope more than anything that I just hope you can see the light on that, man, and really realize how that impacted, not just me, but a lot of other, brothers in the business right now, just trying to get a spot. You know what I mean? Trying to get they come up, and doing this stuff on social media about, who's not doing this and this, that, whatnot, and the other. That's not going to help. It's not going to help any of these guys get in any positions. Me personally, I don't think so. I really don't. I think the only thing that's gonna rectify that is how good these guys are of color that's gonna go out there and perform at their highest level and find their way, on the show. And I say that because that's the only way I did it. And the thing is, I think I was working with a lot of talented guys back in the day, to where they didn't really need me on the roster, on the card that night, on that PLE or that pay-per-view, but I was on it. So,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't think I slipped on a banana peel and got on. I don't think it was just because of protocol or anything like that. I was on the pay-per-views. I think it was because, I was talented enough to be on the pay-per-view. So that's why I say we got so much talent out there. I just want to get past this racial issue as far as, if we, talented, or should we just be getting it because of, what color we are? Yeah, I mean, we got a Kofi Kingston. I can tell you this: Kofi Kingston earned every damn thing he got out of this business. Talking about somebody who could have complained. Kofi Kingston could have complained. Kofi Kingston went out there and he created a spot. He took a spot. He created that moment for that to happen for him. You think anybody else could have made it happen for him? You think anybody else could have did it? No, hell no. Nobody else could have did it. He was the only one who could have manufactured that moment. And that's just facts. I don't care what nobody say.
Hey man, and shout out to everybody, out there just doing their thing. And Kofi, obviously, man, he's had to endure. He was a Jamaican when he came.
I mean,
He had
come
a
on.
Jamaican accent.
Oh, man,
He had to
serious.
overcome that.
Not just that, he's not the biggest guy in the room.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, come on. He has so many things going against him. And he went out there and his talent proved that he should be put in that position and given that moment.
Yeah.
A lot of guys don't get that moment. Jake the Snake didn't get that moment. You know what I mean?
Scott Hall.
Scott Hall didn't
Rick
get that
Rude.
moment. It's so many guys that didn't get that moment. So I'm just bringing Kofi up because he was one of the guys that worked his ass off. He worked so freaking hard. I don't even know if he ever thought, wondered if he was going to ever make it to that position or not. But that didn't deter him. It really didn't. So that's my thing on that, man. I know we got these super chats, man.
We do have these super chats, but you know what? After all this conversation, talking about Hit Row and Swerve and his run, can we just agree that you need to stop player hating on Ashanti the Adonis? Like if he wants to go out and get Carmen Petra, let him be with Carmen. You know what I mean?
Man,
Stop player hating.
I'm not player hating, bro. I'm like this. I'm just saying, man. I feel sorry for her.
I don't.
You know what I mean? Because hit it and quit it.
Yeah. Hey, man. Look, if you're going to a nice restaurant every night, you're gonna enjoy that prime ribeye. You know what I mean? Every night.
All right.
That New York strip. You know what I mean? You're gonna like it. You know what I mean?
You know what I mean? Have you ever heard of a Bergen bag?
I know they a lot. I know that much. I know a lot. I know a lot of guys wish they could write them off on their tax returns. I know that.
Damn right. It could get expensive, man. That's what I'm saying.
Oh man, let's get to our super chats here. Jack Frost, Swerve never did all this pro black talk before his AEW run. He knows exactly what he's doing. Why use people for success?
Let me speak on that as well. That might be true too. I mean, I never heard that talk before going to AEW. One thing about going to AEW, man, it's so freaking cool that this outlet is out there for these guys to go and make money and make really, really, really good money. But stuff, saying stuff like that, it doesn't help, you perhaps one day you find yourself in a position and you want to come back. All right. Maybe it's something that you didn't do in your career. You say, man, I just want to feel that, and you do. Look here, a guy told me a long time ago, the road you travel up is the same road you're going to travel on the way back down. You know what I mean? And it's going to be up to you. You know what I mean? How smooth the ride is going to be on the way back down. So I don't agree with any of these young guys going out there and putting themselves in position for them not to be able to maximize this business, because it's a short window. It really is. These younger guys and these little much younger guys, they're gonna get old quick. They're gonna get old, and they're gonna be wondering, man, what happened to the time? You know what I mean? And then, like I say, if you do put yourself in position where you are a star, going to AEW and becoming, 4-time AEW champion, and then you come back, and then you make even more money, and because come on, man, I'm thinking long term. You know what I mean? I started thinking about retiring from professional wrestling at age 30, and what was I going to do next? Because this thing goes quick. So that's just my advice to young guys in this business. You don't want to find yourself. You've seen the movie The Wrestler.
Yeah.
That could happen. That could happen to you. You know what I mean? You make a lot of money and blow it, and next thing you know, you're wondering what the hell happened. So no, be smart.
We're gonna keep moving on. Big Breezo says, "Love book for standing up for Jasper Troy and LFG. I love wrestling."
My boy, he's a monster, man. Jasper Troy, Pastor Troy. I always talk about this boy is about to get biblical because he's good. He's damn good. He's the best. I give my boy Anthony Luke a lot of credit as well. Anthony Luke, he's definitely showed up and showed out. But that boy Jasper Troy, man, he's gotten the raw end of the shtick. If it's up to me, you know what I mean.
This one comes from brother Macaulay. Brother says the Green Frog grocery store needs an honorary membership in the WWE Hall of Fame. I agree with that.
You know what, man? I think it's going to get a honorary Hall of Fame spot sooner or later, just because it was so iconic, so memorable. Like I said, I watched it like 6 months ago for the first time, and I cried from the beginning to the end. It was some of my best work. It really was some of my best work. I could have cried about going out there and doing that too. I don't want to do this. It's not something I want to do. This is stupid. You know what I mean? But I tell you what, man, no. I've always looked at stuff like that. Go out there and do it. Make it the best you possibly can. And over 20 years later, it's still one of the most iconic moments. That's what wrestling's all about.
Yeah, and that is brother Malachi. Let me get that one right. Mike Woodson said, "Sub Boat, love the show. Hey, Book, would you have liked doing the media? Oh, would you like doing media scrums after a PLE? King Booker would have been hilarious asking questions. You know what? Would you ever consider doing like a media scrum post a row, like big show, like a Summer of Champions or or something like that. Do a big media
You
scrum.
know what? I'm not opposed to that. I'm not opposed to that. I wouldn't have been opposed to doing it as King Booker either, man. That would have been really, really awesome, man. It would have been stupid, especially after some of those matches. I could have
you would have been great.
I could have just talked it all the way up, So, no, I would have loved it, man. Doing the post media scrum. So, yeah, it'd have been a lot different. Yeah.
Oscar Bum says, you and Mr. T are obviously brothers. You have the same last name. I don't think that's the case.
No, my last name is not T, but yeah, I love Mr. T though. I drew a lot of inspiration from Mr. T when I was a kid, man. Watching him bust through those walls, man, on the tough man contests. When I first saw him, man, definitely, made me feel like I could do it.
Dynamic character, Mr. T back in the day. Loso Dolo says, when are we getting gaming with Booker T?
Man, I started gaming, man, for a minute, and then I had to stop just because I've been like so freaking busy. But I got the setup still downstairs, and maybe I'll jump back in it and let you guys run through a few games with me and have some fun.
That'd be dope. Big BIGSOL says, bricked up, sucker. BlueChew.com.
That's Brad's favorite line.
No. But you know what? Like every time I hear that ad coming up, like my heart sinks just a little bit. Mike Woodson says, Book, how intense was the Raw versus SmackDown rivalries, especially in the locker rooms back in the 2000s, especially around Survivor Series? Was there like a brand loyalty that y'all developed, like a team? Like, hey, man, we're about to go put it on these guys.
Team SmackDown. When I was on SmackDown, when I went over there, my King Booker stuff, that's when I really wanted to, rally the troops. I wanted to really make, SmackDown like the #1 show. Man, we had some really, really good stuff going on SmackDown at that time. And it was kind of like a real rivalry as well. We wanted to beat those guys, so man, it was real. It was real. I think that's what made it so good though. Competition. It was true competition back then. Yeah, it really was.
Let's see. Cali Toenail says Pierce did the right thing last week by avoiding everything Rhea did, but somehow they are still going to have a triple threat. Thank Bianca tonight. Just watch. Okay, we'll see. But you know what? Question for you, Book. What do you think about night 1 main event of WrestleMania? Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, CM Punk. That triple threat match will be main eventing the show. CM Punk getting his first WrestleMania main event.
Hey, man. I think WrestleMania is going to turn out to be another banger. I really do. I don't even know exactly how what's the layout and what's going to happen, as far as matches go. But I really feel like it's going to. I know the Cody thing, the Cody is saying the thing right now. That's got people hooked.
Yeah.
I mean, we got the hook set. So I'm just waiting and anticipating, what's going to happen. But CM Punk finally getting the nod, man. It's cool. Don't get hurt, Punk. You know what I mean? We got a few days left. Just don't get hurt.
Virgil Dawkins says, I love Triple H, but I won't say he's beyond reproach. I don't see what's wrong with Swerve telling his truth on racial bias. Also, when he brought up Russo, he meant Johnny Russo from NXT, not Vince. I'm not sure what that last part means. I haven't seen the full Swerve interview, so maybe there's some parts that I haven't seen yet, BT. But I think that I think that you said exactly what Virgil is saying, though. Like, I don't know what Swerve's story is. I'm telling you about my story, right?
Well, I mean, even the part as far as him telling his truth about, Triple H and, Johnny Russo. I mean, okay, that's fine. That's fine. I mean, I get it. But what I'm saying is, don't put yourself in a position to be goated because you're still a young guy. You still got so much. You still got so much life left. And you don't know where this AEW thing is going to go. I mean, anything can happen. Anything can happen. One thing I've learned not to do in this business is get comfortable.
Yeah.
Okay? I'm not going to get comfortable. And if you get comfortable, trust me, you're going to find yourself, landing on something very, very hard sooner or later. And that's just facts. You got to stay ready. You got to be putting yourself in position on every out. You know what I mean? So man, I'm just trying to help more. I'm trying to help the guy. Trying to help him.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to our next one. And I haven't seen the full Swerve interview, so I don't know what he's referring to with the Johnny Russo and Triple H stuff, but I'll go look into it. Badass Uchiha says, I like what Triple H has done with the place and replace Vince. NXT should be like new ECW,
No,
like
hell no.
2.0.
No,
Nah,
keep the
we don't want
ECW
that.
out of everything. Have you ever worked with Balls Mahoney?
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace, Balls. But no, man, he's done a hell of a job. But I give a lot of credit to Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels down there every day, putting that story together and putting that thing together, really building something really, really special with those guys down there. I say, man, they got a hell of a team. That's why I'm trying to mock that at Reality of Wrestling, create a really, really good team to be able to go out there and really, really be able to put on some really good shows every freaking week. And that's what they're doing, man. I give Shawn Michaels a boatload of credit and his team for being able to pull that off.
Let's go to our next one as we round out these super chats. This comes from Marcus Craig Book. I'm loving LFG. Gunther had you hot last night. I saw that clip.
Yeah, Gunther, like I said, man, he probably was a fan of The Undertaker when he was a kid. He probably had the blow up doll,
Not the blow up doll.
the action figures, you know what I mean?
Maybe the action figure.
The poster over his bed.
Not
He probably had all of that. He probably had even a gong to wake him up in the morning.
A what?
A gong.
Oh.
Gong, to wake him up before he go to school. You know what I mean? So that's what that was all about, bro. That was bias at its finest as far as Gunther goes. As far as LFG goes, not being awarded, the point for, my main man, Jasper Troy, who went out there and without any shadow of a doubt showed up and showed out. Everybody knows it. Everybody. You know what I told Jasper? I said, don't worry about it. We winning anyway. We winning anyway. We can't lose. You can shoot me, but you can't kill me. You know what I mean? That's all it was. Yeah.
We'll go to our next one here. Ali says, Swerve tap dance for Vlad TV. He need the money. Well, that's your opinion, Ali.
You know what? I'm not going to say. Nah, he didn't need the money. Like I said, I just think he got played, man.
I think he walked into a trap.
Yeah, that's all. I think that's what it was. You know what I mean? And you feel good about, being on a show like that. Like I say, I learned. I went to a class actually. For being able to, how to conduct an interview.
Mhm.
As far as how to pivot, whatnot. They're going to ask you this. They're going to ask you this. Answer a little piece of it, then move to something else. That's something that you got to learn. Maybe maybe there's something, next time you won't find himself in that position. But like I said, I ain't gonna harp on Swerve or anything like that. Like I said, more importantly, guys, I swear to God, I'm just disappointed in the dude, man. Because I always put him on high.
Right.
Always. Maybe
Right.
he didn't know that. Maybe he didn't know. Maybe he just thought. Maybe he did. I don't know. Maybe that's his truth. To have felt like that I didn't have energy when Vince McMahon said that. I didn't have energy. Wow.
Well, here's a follow-up to that one. It says from J Love Sports, did Swerve apologize?
No, he didn't. No, he didn't apologize.
Were you expecting him to?
You know what? I really wasn't expecting him to apologize because I felt like he thought he was right. And like I explained to him, just like you just read verbatim, it's the same thing I told him. I say, bro, I didn't say anything about you. I said, I took myself out of the equation from saying anything about you, and I spoke about me.
That's what you did.
All right. I say I put the onus on me. You know what I mean? Now people could come to me and all day long on social media and say, you didn't get treated fair, Booker. You didn't get treated fair. But it wouldn't have been him putting me in that situation. You
Right.
see what I'm saying?
Right.
That's what I'm talking about. So I just feel disappointed more than anything with this dude, man, because like I said, I'm look here. I'm gonna always root for, a young black guy getting in this business. I'm rooting for everybody because I got a lot of students. I don't just,
Thanks.
and the thing is, when I say I don't see color, I don't see color when it comes to training my students or anything like that. I don't see color when it comes to giving them praise and stuff like that. When they do well, I give them praise. And for someone like Swerve, I always, like I said, I saw how good the guy was, so I always want to put a light on him. Just like I wish, I was in NXT when he was there, just like with Trick Williams. I'm gonna put a light on you, bro. You know what I mean? Because I want to see you make it. I'm not gonna, it's not for me. I want to see you make it. And there again, some stuff just not. Some stories are just not really should be told. I mean, some of the stuff just should.
I feel that,
especially when you're making money and you're doing well and you're doing really well. I mean, leave that stuff. Bury that. You know what I mean? Think about you. I very rarely think about the past. I've had crappy stuff happen in the past. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna harp on it. I'm not gonna I think about how good I'm doing now. I mean, when I came into WCW, I was making less money than all those guys. You don't think I knew I was making less money than all those guys? You don't think I knew that? You don't think I thought I was better than some of those guys that was making so much more money than me? I say, man, all right. I say it ain't gonna matter. I say at the end of the day, I'm gonna be making more money than all of them. That's what I figure. I say that's what I got to figure out. Let me figure out how to do that. I closed the company down. I'm serious, man. You don't cry, man. You just do the work. Do that.
keep
I mean,
moving.
and the thing could be, man, it could be so much better for you too. It could be so much more out there for you. Like I say, he may have had another career after doing that over there. You never know.
Our next one, we have 3 more here. Our next one, Calitonio said, got to pray for all the haters, BT. They need it.
Man, I need haters too, though, man. I mean, because if I didn't have haters, I wouldn't have, stuff to talk about, really. I wouldn't have, I wouldn't be able to school you. You know what I mean? the way I want to. On the real, because, man, this life, man, you could be here today and gone tomorrow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It ain't about, anything other than what you do in the middle. I'm serious. You know what I mean? I just turned 60. Hey, you think I got time to be beefing with some young brother coming up in the business trying to get somewhere?
Right.
I mean, come on. The last thing I need to be thinking about, other than trying to, push that brother to get to the heights that has never been seen before. That's what I'm about. That's what I've always been about. Seriously, since day one, that's what I've been about. And if anybody, can say different, I want to know who they are. I want to know who they are. If anybody can say Booker T has been a hater on the brothers, he don't never want to see nobody come up. He don't want to see nobody do, what he's did. I want to see them all do it. I ain't got no records that shouldn't be broken. I ain't got no moves that shouldn't be done. I had one of the guys came up to me last week and he said, "Book, do you mind if I do the scissor kick?" I said, "You better do it right." That's all I want to see. Bang, you went out there, bang, execution, baby, perfect, right on the money. That's what I'm about.
Yeah.
Every day since day one, since you met me, Brad.
Yeah. Facts.
That's who I've been. I ain't never been the guy that wanted to see anything but good for you. All right, because you know why? Because I had the greatest life. I've had the greatest life one could ever imagine, other than losing my parents as a kid. Other than that, I've had the greatest life one could ever imagine. And I want to see everybody get a piece of this action in this lifetime. I'm serious, because it's hard. You know what I mean? But you find something you love and you got a passion for it, and you do it well, and somebody is willing to pay you for it, just like myself, just like Swerve. Shoot. That's
Gravy, baby.
the American way.
Yeah. American dream, baby. D'Angelo Brown said Vlad had past interviews with Maven, Mark Henry, and New Jack.
You see, New Jack ain't say nothing about me, do you? Yeah.
I saw
That's
that.
look here, that's an OG. That's an OG.
Yeah.
And you know what? Vlad tried to get him to.
He did.
Vlad tried to get New Jack to say something negative about Booker T. But New Jack didn't take the bait. You know what I mean? New Jack actually played around a little bit. He said, well, you might know who I'm talking about, you know, but he never said my name, you know what I mean? Because he's smart. I've never had any heat with New Jack. New Jack and I, we've ran into each other at the hotel one time in Atlanta, Georgia. The first and only time I ever met him. Always had respect for the dude. You know what I mean? Just the way he went out and did it, the way he came up, the way he went out and did his business. You know, and somebody talking about the N-word, he said it on a regular basis. You know what I mean? Think I'm gonna hate on him? No. Everything that dude did, you've never heard me say one bad word about New Jack.
No.
In all these years. Mark Henry or none of them. You ain't gonna never hear me say anything. Have we all had to go through some negative stuff in our careers?
Yeah,
damn
for
right.
sure.
Damn right, we all had to go through it. But am I going to question you on it? No, I'm not going to question you, bro. Because I know what you've had to go through. Seriously.
And our final one of the day goes from Makoto Shishio. Says, crying about race is an excuse about why they aren't at the top. They never experienced real racism. He's literally a wrestler for a company. He needs to put in his time. Nothing is stopping him. I mean, that's your opinion.
You know, and
I can't say that he hasn't experienced real racism. How do we know that?
If you're a black man in his life, you probably have experienced racism.
At some level, right? I mean, of course.
It is just facts. It's just facts. And that's why I say, you know, that's why when I hear these young guys, I'm like, guys, racism didn't stop in 1990 when I got into business. I didn't slip on a banana peel and get where I got in the wrestling business either. You know what I mean? I work my butt off, and I work my butt off to be the best. And the thing is, was I the best? That's debatable. Of course, that's debatable. But damn it, I tried to put myself in a position to make sure that, you know, I was, you know, making proper money. You know, I was working with the best guys in the world. You know, my longevity came into play because, you know, many years in the business, not getting hurt. I'm thinking about everything. There again, thinking about retirement, what's next. Started reality of wrestling 20 years ago. Come on, man. Let's be businessmen more than anything. And hopefully, Swerve Strickland, he said he had heard that comment that I made on the podcast. He said he heard it. And because I asked him, I said, did you actually hear it? I said, did you read it? You know, and he said, no, I heard it when you said it on the podcast. So I'm hoping you listening to the podcast.
Well, I have a feeling this one's going to get back to him.
I'm hoping you listening, bro. And don't let somebody put you in that position again to perhaps cost you future monies, you know, that your family perhaps might need. Because this life, you know, if you don't die tomorrow, it ain't gonna end tomorrow. And if it don't end tomorrow, the bills gonna keep coming. Okay? Facts.
Hey, I can't think of a better way to wrap up than on that there.
Hey man, I want to thank you guys for stepping inside the Hall of Fame, getting your champagne, which is caviar dreams. You know, we appreciate you guys on a weekly, man. We really do. I didn't even expect to go this long today. Brad hoodwinked me. Brad, for all the heavy lifting, man. We appreciate it always, man. But until next time, man, we appreciate you. We love you. Peace. We out.